I remember the exact moment everything almost ended. It was the night of the blood moon. The entire pack had gathered in the clearing, their voices rising in unity as the wind moved through the trees. I stood at the edge, hidden in the shadows, my hand shaking as I pressed my palm against my chest. The mark was burning again. Not a normal burn. It felt alive, like something inside me was trying to break free. "Kira." Mara's voice called from behind me. "What are you doing back here? The ceremony is about to begin." I didn't turn, because if I did, she would see it. She would see the glow, and once the pack saw it, everything would change. "I'll be there," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. But I didn't move. Because tonight, if I stepped into that circle, the truth I had hidden my entire life would be exposed. And if that happened, I wouldn't just lose my place in the pack. I might lose my life. Hello everyone, welcome back. Before we go deeper into this story, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. Also rate this story from 1 to 10 as you follow along. You might think it's just a small action, but it truly helps this channel grow and reach more people. And honestly, if you enjoy stories like this and don't support them, they slowly disappear. So please, take a second to show your support. You won't regret staying with this story. Now, let me take you back to how it all began. My name is Kira, and I was never meant to belong anywhere. I was born into the Shadow Ridge Pack, one of the oldest and most respected werewolf packs in the northern lands. From the outside, we looked strong, united, fearless, but inside there were rules, strict ones, rules that could destroy someone like me. I grew up knowing I was different. Not because someone told me directly, but because of the way people looked at me. The way conversations stopped when I entered a room. The way elders whispered when they thought I wasn't listening. And then there was the mark. I first saw it when I was 8 years old. It appeared on my chest overnight. A faint symbol, shaped like a crescent moon wrapped in thin lines that seemed to move when I stared at them too long. I thought it was a scar at first, but it never faded. Instead, it changed. Some days it was barely visible. Other days, it darkened. And on rare nights, like tonight, it glowed. I didn't tell anyone, not even Mara. Mara had been my closest friend since childhood. She was strong, confident, and everything a proper member of the pack should be. People respected her, trusted her. She trusted the pack, and that was exactly why I couldn't trust her with my secret. Because in our pack, marks meant something. They were not random. They were signs of destiny, and not all destinies were welcomed. "Where have you been?" I turned as Mara approached me, her arms crossed and her eyes filled with concern. "I said I'd be there," I replied quietly. "You always say that," she said. "But lately, you've been distant. Even during training, you barely focus." I forced a small smile. "I'm just tired." She didn't look convinced. "You're hiding something," she said softly. My chest tightened. "No, I'm not." Mara stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Kira, we're not kids anymore. Whatever it is, you don't have to carry it alone." For a moment, I almost told her. I almost showed her the mark. But then I remembered the stories. Stories of wolves born with forbidden signs. Wolves who were believed to bring imbalance. Wolves who were either exiled or worse. I stepped back. "It's nothing," I said. "Really." Mara watched me for a long moment, then sighed. "Fine, but don't disappear tonight. Alpha Cain is already watching everyone closely. At the mention of his name, my stomach twisted. Cain, the Alpha of Shadow Ridge. He wasn't old, but he carried power like someone who had fought for it. His presence alone could silence a crowd. His gaze could make even the strongest warriors lower their heads. And lately, his attention had been on me. I didn't know why, but I felt it every time he looked in my direction, like he could see something I was trying so hard to hide. The clearing was already filled when we returned. Torches surrounded the circle, casting flickering shadows across the gathered wolves. The air was thick with anticipation. The blood moon rose slowly above us, bright, red, unforgiving. This ceremony happened once every year. It was when young wolves who had come of age stepped forward to affirm their loyalty to the pack, and in rare cases, discovered deeper connections tied to their destiny. I wasn't supposed to be afraid, but tonight, I was, because my mark had never reacted like this before. It pulsed with heat, each beat matching the rhythm of my heart. And then I felt it, a gaze. I looked up, and my eyes met his. Cain. He stood at the center of the circle, his posture straight, his expression unreadable. But his eyes were locked on me, not casually, not briefly. He was studying me. My breath caught, and for a second, I thought he knew. Step forward. His voice echoed across the clearing. One by one, wolves moved into the circle. Mara went before me. She stood tall, her chin lifted, her confidence clear. When Cain placed his hand over hers, the pack murmured in approval. Everything about her was right. Everything about me was not. Kira. My name. The sound of it froze me in place. I couldn't move. Kira, step forward, Cain repeated, his tone firmer this time. Mara glanced back at me, confusion in her eyes. I forced my legs to move. Each step felt heavier than the last. The closer I got to the center, the hotter the mark burned. I could feel it now. Not just heat, but light. It was starting to glow. No, not here. Not now. I stopped a few feet away from Cain. My voice trembled. I'm not ready. Silence spread through the clearing. Cain's eyes narrowed slightly. Every wolf of age must step forward. I understand, I said quickly, but I need more time. A low murmur rose from the crowd. This wasn't normal. Refusing the ceremony was seen as weakness, suspicion, dangerous. Cain stepped closer to me. Too close. I could feel the energy radiating from him. Strong, controlled, dominant. Look at me, he said quietly. I hesitated, then lifted my gaze. For a moment, everything else disappeared. It was just him and me. And then, his expression changed. Just slightly. But I saw it. Recognition. My heart dropped. He knew. Before I could react, a sharp pain shot through my chest. I gasped, stumbling back as the mark flared with intense heat. The glow broke through the fabric of my shirt. Visible. Clear. Impossible to hide. The crowd fell silent. Completely silent. I clutched my chest, panic rising as I looked down. The symbol was shining brightly now. No longer faint. No longer hidden. Exposed. No, I whispered. And then I heard it. A voice from the crowd. That mark. Another voice followed. It can't be. I looked up slowly and saw the fear in their eyes. Not curiosity. Not confusion. Fear. My worst fear had come true. And standing in front of me, Cain did not look surprised anymore. He looked certain. "Kira," he said, his voice low but firm. "What have you been hiding from this pack?" My throat tightened. I wanted to speak, to explain, but the words wouldn't come. Because deep down, I knew this moment would change everything. And there was no going back. The silence that followed felt heavier than any punishment. Every eye in the clearing was on me. Not a single voice defended me. Not even a whisper. I could hear my own breathing, uneven and loud, as I stood there with my hand pressed against my chest. The mark still glowed beneath my fingers, refusing to fade now that it had been seen. I didn't need anyone to explain what this meant. I saw it in their faces. I was no longer one of them. "Kira." Mara's voice broke through the tension. I turned toward her slowly. She looked shaken. Not angry, not yet, but confused. "Hurt. You have a mark?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I opened my mouth to answer, but nothing came out. Because how could I explain something I barely understood myself? "I didn't know," she continued, stepping closer. "Why didn't you tell me?" Her words cut deeper than anything else. Because she wasn't accusing me. She was asking. And that made it worse. "I couldn't," I said quietly. "Why?" she asked. I shook my head. Because I didn't know what it meant. That part was true, but not the whole truth. "Step back." Cain's voice cut in sharply. Mara hesitated, then moved away from me, though her eyes never left my face. Cain stepped forward, his presence immediately taking control of the space again. "Show it," he said. My chest tightened. "Show the mark, Kira." There was no room for refusal this time. Slowly, with trembling hands, I pulled the edge of my shirt aside. The symbol was fully visible now. A crescent shape surrounded by thin, twisting lines that seemed to move faintly, as if they were alive. Gasps spread through the crowd. Some wolves took a step back. Others stared like they were looking at something dangerous. "This is not possible," one of the elders muttered. But it was. It had always been there. Cain didn't look away. If anything, his gaze became more focused. "Where did you get this?" he asked. "I was born with it," I replied. His eyes flickered slightly at that. "Marks like this do not appear without reason." "I know," I said softly. "Then you also know what it could mean." I swallowed hard. Yes. Because I had heard the stories. Stories no one told openly, but everyone knew. There were marks that signaled strength, marks that revealed rank, and then there were marks that appeared only in legends. Marks tied to power that could either protect or destroy. Mine was one of those. She should be removed from the circle. The voice came from one of the elders. Cold, firm. "She has hidden this from the pack for years. That alone is a betrayal." A low murmur of agreement followed. My heart dropped. This was exactly what I had feared. "They don't even know what it means," Mara said suddenly, stepping forward again. "You can't just decide." "Mara." Cain didn't raise his voice, but the warning in it was clear. She stopped, but her expression didn't change. "She's still one of us," Mara insisted. I looked at her, surprised. Even now, she was trying to defend me. "You don't know that," another elder replied. "Not anymore." Those words hit harder than anything else. Not anymore. Cain remained silent for a moment. Then he spoke. "No one is making any decisions yet." The murmurs quieted immediately. His authority was absolute. "We do not act on fear," he continued. "We act on knowledge." His gaze returned to me. "But hiding something like this is not a small matter." "I know," I said, my voice breaking slightly. "Then start speaking." I hesitated. Every instinct told me to stay quiet, but silence had already brought me here. "I found it when I was a child," I began. "I didn't understand it. It didn't hurt back then. It was just there." "And you told no one?" Cain asked. "No, not even your family." "My parents died when I was young," I said quietly. "There was no one else." The clearing grew still again. That part of my life was something most people avoided mentioning. It made things uncomfortable, but right now, it felt like the least important detail. "It started changing as I got older," I continued. "Sometimes it faded, sometimes it darkened, and lately, it burns." "When?" Cain asked. "On certain nights, during strong shifts in the moon." "Like tonight," he said. "Yes." He studied me for a long moment. Then his expression hardened slightly. "You knew it would react during the blood moon ceremony." It wasn't a question. I lowered my gaze. "Yes." "And you still chose to come." "I didn't have a choice," I said. "If I stayed away, it would raise more suspicion." And now, a bitter feeling rose in my chest. Now it doesn't matter. The truth settled over the clearing like a heavy weight. There was no undoing this, no explaining it away. The mark had been seen, and everything I had tried to protect was gone. "She cannot remain among us," one of the elders said again. "If that mark is what we think it is, she is a risk to every wolf here." Fear moved through the crowd again. Not loud, but present. Real. I could feel it pressing against me from every direction. I had lived among these people my entire life, and now they looked at me like I didn't belong, like I had never belonged. Enough. Cain's voice stopped everything. He turned slightly, addressing the elders without fully taking his eyes off me. "We are not acting on assumptions." "And what if the assumptions are correct?" one elder challenged. "Then we deal with it accordingly," Cain replied. "But not like this." There was tension in his tone now. Control, but there. Cain stepped closer again. Close enough that I had to look up to meet his eyes. There was something different in his expression now. Something I couldn't fully understand. "Does it always feel like this?" he asked quietly. "The pain?" I nodded. "When it reacts, yes." "And tonight is stronger?" "Yes." He watched me carefully. Then, something unexpected happened. He reached out, slowly, deliberately, and placed his hand just above the mark. Not touching it directly, but close enough that I felt the heat between us. The moment his hand hovered there, the pain changed. It didn't disappear, but it softened, like something inside me recognized him. I gasped slightly, my body reacting before my mind could catch up. Cain's eyes darkened. He felt it too. A ripple of shock moved through the crowd. "Alpha." "Stay back," Cain said without looking away from me. His focus remained locked on my face. "What is happening?" Mara asked, her voice filled with confusion. I didn't have an answer, but I could feel it. The connection. Strange, unfamiliar, and impossible to ignore. Cain lowered his hand slowly. The moment he did, the pain returned fully. I winced, clutching my chest again. Our eyes met once more. And this time, there was no doubt. He knew something deeper than what the others understood. "This changes things," he said quietly. The elders immediately reacted. "How?" "You don't even know what she is," one of them argued. "No," Cain agreed, "but I know what she is not." They fell silent, waiting. He turned slightly, his voice carrying across the clearing. "She is not a threat." A wave of disbelief followed. "You cannot be certain." "I am," Cain said firmly. The certainty in his voice left no room for argument. I stared at him, stunned. He was defending me. Why? He had no reason to. He barely knew me. And yet, he stood there, placing his authority between me and the judgment of the pack. "She will not be exiled," Cain continued. The word exile echoed in my mind. That had been their plan. That had been my fate. Until now. "But she will not remain without supervision either," he added. My breath caught. What did that mean? Cain looked directly at me, and then he said the words that changed everything again. "Kira, from this moment on, you will stay under my protection." The clearing erupted into shocked murmurs. Even Mara looked stunned. My heart pounded. Protection? From him? That wasn't normal. That wasn't how things worked. "Alpha, that is highly inappropriate," one elder said quickly. "You cannot." "I have made my decision," Cain interrupted. His tone was final, unmovable. I couldn't look away from him, because something about this didn't feel like a simple decision. It felt like the beginning of something much bigger, something I didn't understand yet, something tied to the mark, to him, to my hidden destiny. And for the first time since the mark was revealed, I realized something that both scared and confused me. I wasn't alone in this anymore. The walk from the clearing to Cain's territory felt longer than it should have. No one spoke to me. Some wolves stepped aside as we passed, avoiding eye contact. Others stared openly, their expressions filled with suspicion, fear, and something worse, judgment. I kept my gaze down, my arms wrapped tightly around myself, as if I could hide the mark again just by wishing it away. But I knew better now. There was no hiding anymore. "Keep up." Cain's voice pulled me back to the present. I quickened my steps, falling into place beside him. We walked in silence for a while before I finally spoke. "Why did you do that?" He didn't look at me. "Do what?" "Defend me. Stop them from exiling me." His expression remained calm. "Because they were wrong." "That's not enough," I said. "You could have ignored it. Let them decide." "I don't ignore things I don't understand." I frowned slightly. "So I'm just something you want to study?" He stopped walking. I took one more step before realizing he had halted, and I turned back to face him. His eyes met mine. Sharp, focused. "You are not an object, Kira." "Then what am I?" I asked quietly. For a moment, he didn't answer. And in that silence, something shifted. "You're connected to something rare," he said finally. "Something the pack hasn't seen in generations." That doesn't sound reassuring. It's not meant to be. A cold feeling settled in my chest. Then why protect me? This time, he didn't hesitate. "Because I felt it." I blinked. "Felt what?" "That moment in the circle," he said, "when I reached for your mark." My breath caught slightly. I remembered it. The way the pain changed. the way everything inside me reacted to him. It wasn't just you, he continued. I felt it too. Silence fell between us again, but it wasn't the same kind of silence as before. This one was heavier, more personal. That doesn't make sense, I said slowly. Marks don't just connect people like that. Most don't, Kane replied. But this one does? He didn't answer directly. Instead, he turned and continued walking. I followed him, my thoughts racing. His territory was set apart from the rest of the pack. Not isolated, but quieter, more controlled. Everything about it reflected him. Order, strength, distance. He stopped in front of a large structure made of wood and stone. This is where you'll stay, he said. I hesitated. With you? Yes. That's going to cause problems. It already has. I let out a small breath. Fair point. Inside, the space was simple but strong. Nothing unnecessary. Just like him. You can take the room on the left, he said. I stepped inside slowly, still trying to process everything that had happened. Just hours ago, I was hiding in the shadows. Now, I was standing in the Alpha's home. Under his protection. It didn't feel real. Kira. I turned as he called my name. Yes. From now on, you don't leave this area alone. I stiffened slightly. So I'm a prisoner? No, he said calmly. You're a target. That shut down my argument, because deep down, I knew he was right. The first few days were tense. The pack didn't accept his decision easily. I could feel it in the air every time I stepped outside. Conversation stopped. Eyes followed me. Mara visited once. Only once. You should have told me, she said. Her voice wasn't angry. Just distant. I wanted to, I replied. But you didn't. I looked down. I was scared. Of me. Of losing you. That made her pause. But it didn't fix things. I don't know who you are anymore, Kira, she said quietly. And then she left. That hurt more than the mark ever had. But through it all, Kane stayed. Not always close. Not always speaking. But present. Watching. Learning. One night, the pain returned. Stronger than before. I dropped to my knees, clutching my chest as the mark burned like fire under my skin. It felt like something was trying to tear its way out of me. Kira. Kane's voice reached me just as my vision blurred. He was beside me in seconds. Look at me, he said. I can't. Look at me. I forced my eyes open. And just like before, he reached for me. The moment his hand hovered over the mark, the pain eased. Not completely, but enough for me to breathe again. I grabbed onto his arm, holding on like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. What is this? I whispered. His jaw tightened slightly. A bond. The word hit me harder than I expected. A bond. I repeated. Yes. That's not possible, I said quickly. Bonds don't form like this. They're recognized, not created. This one is both. I stared at him, trying to understand. Why me? I asked. I don't know yet. That answer should have frustrated me, but it didn't, because I believed him. Over time, we started to understand more. The mark wasn't just a symbol. It was a key, a connection to something older than the pack itself, something powerful, something that needed balance. And somehow, Kane and I were tied to it, but not everyone accepted that. The elders grew more restless, more fearful, and fear always leads to action. The night everything came to a breaking point, I was alone, just for a moment. That was all it took. They came without warning. 3 of the elders, and a group of warriors behind them. "You should have left when you had the chance," one of them said. My heart raced. Cain won't allow this. Cain is not here. Panic rose in my chest. What are you going to do? Protect the pack. I stepped back. By killing me. No one answered. They didn't need to. The mark flared suddenly, brighter than ever before. Pain shot through my body as I dropped to my knees. I could feel it now. Not just heat. Power. Uncontrolled. Dangerous. "Do it now," one elder ordered. A warrior stepped forward, and in that moment, I thought it was over. But then, "Stop!" Cain's voice cut through the air like a strike. Everyone froze. He moved faster than I had ever seen, placing himself between me and them. His presence alone forced the warriors back. "You would act against my command," he said coldly. "This is for the good of the pack," one elder replied. "No," Cain said. "This is fear. She is unstable. She is unprotected," he corrected. Then he turned to me. "Kira, look at me." I did, even through the pain. "Trust me," he said. And for the first time since all of this began, I did, completely. He stepped closer and placed his hand directly over the mark. Not hovering this time, touching it. The reaction was immediate. Light burst from the symbol, spreading outward in a wave that forced everyone back. The pain didn't disappear. It transformed into something steady, controlled, alive. I gasped as the energy settled, and then it stopped. Completely. Silence filled the space. No one moved. No one spoke. Cain stepped back slowly. His eyes searched mine, and then he nodded, like something had finally been confirmed. "It's done," he said. "What is?" I asked softly. "The bond." The elders stared at us in shock. "What have you done?" one of them demanded. "What needed to be done," Cain replied. I stood slowly, my body still trembling. But the pain was gone. The mark had changed. It no longer burned. It felt calm. "What does this mean?" I asked. Cain looked at me, and for the first time, there was no distance in his expression. "No one will question your place here again," he said. And just like that, everything changed. The pack didn't fully understand, but they accepted it because they had no choice. The bond between us was undeniable, unbreakable. Mara returned a few days later. This time, her expression was softer. "I was wrong," she said quietly. I shook my head. "No, you were hurt." She nodded. "I still am. But I see it now." "See what?" "That you were never against us," she said. "You were just trying to survive." That was the truth. And as time passed, I stopped hiding. Not just the mark, but who I was. Because I finally understood something I had feared my entire life. Sometimes, the thing you hide the most is the very thing that gives your life meaning. Running from it doesn't protect you. It only delays the moment you have to face it. Lesson of the story. Hiding who you are may feel safe, but it often leads to fear, isolation, and misunderstanding. True strength comes from accepting yourself, even when others don't understand you yet. The right people will not fear your truth. They will stand beside you in it.